So yeah, welcome to British Superbikes Brands Hatch. I'm Anthony Ryan. I am the owner of AR Spencer UK. Here today to obviously talk to some of the riders that we are currently sponsoring during this year's season. Now, a lot of these young riders are coming up through a sports academy which is owned and run by Leon Haslam. Leon Haslam, obviously a world superbike rider, British Superbike champion. Obviously this season has returned back to Britain to race in the BSB, and his sports academy, where I think his legacy is going to run. So we're quite proud to offer our support as a sponsor this year, and we're here today to talk to some of the riders about what they're learning in that specific race academy, how their seasons are going, a bit about their background, and more importantly, how our sponsorship and other sponsors help them. So I'd like to introduce Denise Del Zotto. So a little bit of background about Denise. Denise has recently arrived into the UK, formerly racing in Italy. So if you can just talk a little bit about how your racing career started over in Italy, and more importantly, what brought you over to the UK and into the Affinity Sports Academy.
Yeah, I have started riding in Italy at 10 years old with the Minimoto, and I have do the Italian Championship with the Minimoto, and after I moved with the Mini GP. I have do 2 years with the Mini GP in the Italian Championship and in the European Championship. I have finished fourth in the European and fifth in the Italian Championship about the 160 cc, and with the 190 cc I have finished second in Italy. And I have moved to UK for do the British Supersport this year in the Affinity Sports Academy with Leon Haslam, because in the start I have two possibilities, go in the Women's European Cup or in the BSB, and I have decided go to the BSB because with Leon Haslam is a lot of learning, is a very big grow up for me.
And what sort of stuff do you learn from, obviously in that sports academy, you're getting, expert training from, as you said, Leon Haslam, Ron Haslam. I mean, how much an inspiration are those caliber of racers with their experience and expertise helping you as a rider progress?
Helping a lot, because is big rider, is big name, and they know a lot of things, have a lot of experience, and help the young riders, same me, because if I don't have experience, have a person helping me is do the difference. For my learning is a learning more fast with a person explain me what you do, or maybe have the experience.
Brilliant. So it's obviously your first year racing in the UK. So a lot of riders in the the class that you're racing are some of them are on their second, third, fourth, fifth year racing the same circuits. So I'd expect every time you visit a circuit, it's a whole new experience. You're not used to how the cornering is, how the track lies. I mean, how are you finding that experience?
I'm so happy, and it's everything new for me. Because it's new, the bike is the first year with the big bike for me, and is the first year in England, is everything new for me. And I have doing Silverstone. We have in Silverstone we have the time for learning the track, and I have doing good. I have do first race I'm crash, but I have do the best lap timing, and second race I have do ninth. In Donington are a little bit more difficult, because it's more difficult track. We have less time, and just this. And I have broke the bike, but and I'm doing good. I is learning every time, and my grow up is very good. And nothing, I'm excited for know the new track.
Brilliant. And just to finish off there, Denise, obviously it's quite important to notice that you are a young female rider competing in a class which is mainly dominated by men. Obviously, like you said, when you were racing in Silverstone, you're doing lap times there, competing with, regardless of whether it's a male or female. In regards to the female, you're obviously, you're right up there. Where do you see this season going for you? And more importantly, what are your plans for the coming years? Where do you expect, what are you expecting to achieve this year going into next year?
For this year, I'm expecting a big grow up about me. Maybe if I have do 17th in the race in Donington for the finish of the year, arrive in podium, for sure, because it's everything new, and I expected this. And for the next year, we expected her competitive for whole the year.
Brilliant. And finally, what I want to ask you is, so yourself have got a sponsorship deal that's been done by AR Spencer UK, and obviously you have other sponsors which support you for your racing career. How important is that, and for your riding career?
A lot, because for the young rider, especially me, or maybe every rider is young and is new, everything new. Is expensive. It's expensive sport, and for arrive in a normal championship, for have the possibility about the person look at you and help you, you need to have a little bit money for arrive, and is a lot of important for me and for the other rider, because for do the championship and for training out, because the life of a rider is not just racing, but out the race weekend we have training, we need eating good, we need everything. Yeah.
Brilliant. All right, guys, this is Denise Del Zotto. So thank you very much, Denise.
Thank you.
Cheers. Next, we're now here with Jack Roach. So nice to see you here today, Jack, at Brands Hatch. So what I want to do is basically ask you a few questions about yourself and your current season that you're having, which is looking incredibly good. And you're obviously a championship contender this year with your current position. So I think if I start by just asking yourself, first of all, how long have you been racing? And then what got you into Affinity Sports Academy would be my first question I have for you.
Yeah, so originally where it all started was, my dad used to race back in the day. He used to do BSB, actually, funnily enough. So
was he better than you?
Nah. I mean, probably maybe back in the day on those wooden wheels and but no. So my dad, he started it, and then I didn't really get into it till I was 13, 14, and then I did my first season of BSB in 2019. So I rode, before that was a year of just club racing in America. Then went to 2019, basically just moved to England. And then from 2020 and 2021, I was in Moto America, which was a really good experience in the junior category there. And then now I'm here. And then, 2021? Yeah, I finished up my Moto America season with Westby, and then and then I did the last 3 rounds was Thruxton, Donington, and Brands underneath the Affinity tent with Leon. So my dad he got connected through Nick Morgan from MSS. My dad used to be sponsored by him back in the day. So Nick connected us with Leon. Then I started riding the spare bike. Took a bit of TLC at the beginning at Alton, but I finished 4th in my first race at Alton. So, and then I think I got a couple more 4ths, and then one more 5th, and I think I had a DNF in one of the other races. So, definitely, I guess put a good impression on Leon. Put a good impression on Affinity, which was good. And then I got offered to ride for you guys for them. For this year, and it's been probably my highlight of my racing career. It's not only just on track when you look at the bikes and stuff. It's more important about off track and what we gain from that. So yeah.
Brilliant. Answered a couple of my next questions there in that one there, which is great. Now, one of the things with yourself, which I like to point out, is there are 4 riders racing in the same category as yourself. So how is that as a competitive edge when you're not just competing against other race teams? You've got a sort of internal competitiveness. How do you find that?
Yeah, I mean, it is good. You always want to beat your teammate, but I feel like in the class that we're in, the bikes are all the same. Because it's so we got restricted revs, we got restricted throttle body. Everything's the same. So I mean, it's like it's another rider in my way, so that's all I care about.
Great way to look at it.
Yeah.
And where do you expect your season to finish? We're obviously about halfway through now this year.
Yeah.
And where are you currently placed in the championship at the minute?
I actually haven't checked, but I'm maybe 4th or 5th. I was 6th going into Donington, and I think I'm maybe 4th. I'm quite far off of first, but I mean it's only halfway, and it's racing. Like literally anything can happen. You'd think nothing would happen, something wouldn't happen, but it does. So yeah, definitely we got good opportunities. We got Thruxton coming up in a month, so I'm super excited for that. I've only been there once, but I feel like it's a good track. I like it. You only brake twice there on a 400, so it's super fast, which I like. I like fast tracks.
Brilliant. So, I mean, one of the reasons that we're here and we get involved is we're here to support our current relationship with Leon Haslam, support the Affinity Sports Academy, and also as a brand, we're trying to help or provide support to young talent and give them opportunities to progress in what is an expensive sport. So in regards to sponsorships is what I'll come on to now. Obviously, ourselves are an Affinity Sports Academy sponsor, and I'm assuming you've got multiple individual sponsors. How important are sponsors to you and the money that they provide for your racing career?
Yeah, it's super important. Sorry, it's super important. Like without sponsors, I think every rider agrees. Without sponsors, we wouldn't be on track. So. Yeah, I mean, I can't thank my sponsors enough. Some sponsors are new for this season. Some sponsors have been sponsoring me since I started racing. So it's all about building that relationship, and then as you build, the sponsorship maybe get bigger, may end. It's racing. Anything can happen. So
brilliant. All right, thank you very much. So this is Jack Roach. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Cheers. So next we have James McManus, again another young talented rider from Affinity Sports Academy. Now going into this weekend at Brands Hatch, James is the championship leader. So I'm very interested to hear a little bit about James and his racing career. So welcome today, James. And what I'd like to do is just to start by asking you a few questions about what got you to where you are today. So if you can tell us a little bit about how long you've been racing and what got you into Affinity Sports Academy and your decision to race for them.
I started racing in 2018 when I was 14. I had very little experience before that. I only started racing. I never rode a motorbike up until 2018, so I hadn't. And then, Thruxton BSB in 2018 was my first race, so it was after about 3 weeks on a motorbike. And it was a bit of a slow start, so it was, but and then I went to Team 109 then in 2019 and raced for them for a year, and then in 2020 I joined Leon in the Affinity Sports Academy, and it's grew ever since then.
I mean, that's quite a phenomenal transition from not riding or racing until the age of 14. I know some of the riders that we speak to, sort of 5, 6, 7 years old, jumping on a bike and already into 6, 7 years of their racing career. So you're effectively a newcomer into the sport and are currently leading your class championship there. Now, one of the questions I have to go into is there are 4 riders in the same class as yourself. One of them is Mikey Hardy, for example, who you've after the last meet there, you've taken over in the championship. What's the competitiveness there between you two and the other 2 riders currently competing in that class?
Definitely the first people you want to beat is your teammates. You want to be first person you want to beat the teammate. But no, everyone will push each other, so we do. We were out flat tracking there on Wednesday. And you go out, you have to be competitive, but at the end of the day, they are your teammate as well. You have to show them respect on track as well as off it. So.
Yeah, brilliant. Now, obviously, going into round 5 there now, you're a championship leader. Does that put a lot of pressure on you when you're racing, or do you tend to focus on the race in hand and not worry about the points? How does that affect you?
I'm just taking it race by race, so I am. There's still a long way to go in this championship. There's 5 rounds left for us, so there is. So, a lot can happen in them 5 rounds. So, we're just taking it race by race.
Brilliant. Now, obviously, you're part of Affinity Sports Academy, which means Leon Haslam has, he's providing you with training with the likes of the legendary Ron Haslam and all the other, team of expertise that they've got there. How do you think that's helping you develop as a young rider?
Yeah, it's amazing to have two world-class riders like Leon and Ron to give you advice. If there's anything you need to ask, just go and ask Ron and Leon, and they're never far wrong to not. They've been in the game for so long. It's brilliant to have them on hand to use their expertise.
Brilliant. Now, obviously, just to finish off there with yourself there, James, obviously in relation to, we're a sponsor of Affinity Sports Academy. Now, yourself obviously is in that academy, so effectively has, some of the benefits of sponsorship we provide, but also you have your own sponsors who support you as a rider. And what does that mean to you as a rider to get that support from sponsors?
Yeah, sponsors are what make us go racing. Without them, we wouldn't be here. So they're such an important part of racing. Definitely, they would bring us on as riders, and that would help us go racing at the end of the day. So without them, we wouldn't be here. So
brilliant, excellent. All right, James. Well, thanks for your time. This is James
thank
McManus.
you. Yeah, thank you.
So next we have Joe Farragher, so another young talented rider from Affinity Sports Academy. So Joe, obviously having a great season this year. What I'd like to find out a little bit from yourself is, first of all, how long you've been racing for, what got you into the sport, and more importantly, how you're finding your ride with Affinity Sports Academy.
Well, I started riding about 4 or 5 years ago on like the mini motor, so the tiny things. I was always really tall, so we've really like quickly gone through them. How did I start riding? I think I had a cousin that raced before me, and then we were just like, we may as well give it a go. So just went from there. What was the other thing about Affinity?
Yeah, so we'll just capture a little bit more on that then. So, and your height, I find, is a very important factor there. So when you're obviously racing on the mini motos, I've been to many events where I've seen the tall individual racing on these very tiny bikes there. So yeah, so obviously progress from there. So now you're racing in the Affinity Sports Academy, where you're gaining some real expertise. I'd like to think with the likes of Leon Haslam, Ron Haslam, and the rest of the team there. I mean, how are you finding that, and what are you learning, and what are you getting out of that academy?
I think it's really good. Like, there's very few people that know as much as Leon and Ron, and we have obviously suspension people. Like, we'd be completely struggling this year because we have no real. This is my first year on a 600, so we'd no base settings or anything. So they've really sped up the process of learning and all that.
Okay, brilliant. Now, we all know motorcycle racing is a expensive sport. It requires, a lot of commitment from yourself, a lot of commitment and time and effort from the team that's involved. A lot of young riders like yourself, rely on family to support. And one of the biggest support that you need is finance, and that comes from sponsorship opportunities. So ourselves, we're heavily involved with Affinity Sports Academy, so offer you some indirect sort of sponsorship there, but of course you've got your own personal sponsors. So what would you like to say to the sponsors that are personally sponsoring you now, and anyone else that would like to support you in your future career?
Well, it just literally, they're the only reason we can race, so even the tiniest donation or whatever can help us, so they are really like the biggest part of it for us, because we're not coming in with huge backing on our own, so it really help us.
Yeah, brilliant. And how do you think your season's going so far?
It's been really tough. I've not really got to grips with the 600 very quickly. We're starting to get there now, getting a bit of speed, but it's just finding little things with suspension and even the way you ride it, so it's hard but fun.
Excellent, brilliant. All right, thanks guys. Well, this is Joe Farragher. Thank you very much. Cheers.
Thanks for having me.
Brilliant. So next up we have another young talented rider with Affinity Sports Academy, this time all the way from Australia. We're now here with Jacob Hatch. So welcome, Jacob Hatch. Obviously new to the UK racing scene this year. What I'd like to start with is just you to tell us a little bit about what made you come over to the UK and how much you're enjoying that so far.
Alright, so I come over to the UK because I thought I wanted to go somewhere where I know that I'm going to be able to improve my racing and where I know that it's competitive, and I felt that there was no better place to go than to be with Affinity Sports Academy, that I've been so very lucky to be with, because it's a great team and I've just enjoyed every little bit of it so far.
Yeah, brilliant. Now, since you've arrived in the UK, different to a lot of riders who've been racing these circuits, for many years really. I suppose for you, every time you visit a circuit here, it's a new experience, it's new learning, it's new corners. How are you finding that?
I mean, it's always a struggle to come to a track that you haven't seen, but with everyone that we have in the team, our mechanics, we've got Ron, Leon, you kind of breeze through it through the weekend. You always have them to talk to. They're always working with you, always trying to help you out, track walks, and just go out there and have fun, and that's the main thing, really.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, so you're now racing with Affinity Sports Academy. You're learning off the likes of Leon Haslam, Ron Haslam. You've got a great team behind you. You've got your family support, who's obviously travelled, your mother who's travelled with you all the way from Australia. How important is it learning from the likes of Leon and Ron?
It's awesome. It's just something that you can't really put in words. To have them be able to help me out during the year, like, they're pretty special people and they know what they're talking about. So to have them be able to help me out this year, my first year in BSB, it's amazing.
Yeah, excellent. And how do you feel the season's gone so far?
Honestly, I think it's probably gone a little bit better than I expected. We've had a couple good results so far, and like you said, not knowing the tracks, and it's a new bike to me. It's I think I've done pretty well for what's going on this year. So
yeah, brilliant. Okay, so obviously, is this your first time in Brands? I believe it's your second time. It's your first time in Brands. How are you finding the track so far?
It's awesome. It's probably one of my favourite tracks so far. Just a little bit more track time and we'll get a little bit more of a flow going on, and I think it'll be awesome.
Yeah, excellent. Okay, brilliant. Lastly then, obviously, it's myself as a sponsor of yourself and Affinity as well. Got yourself a sponsorship deal with myself, which was just noticing some real potential in yourself as a rider. How important is sponsorship to you from not just myself, but your other sponsors and anyone else who wishes to get involved?
Sponsorship's what keeps me going because, as you know, racing is an expensive sport, and I can't thank my sponsors enough to help me out, because without them I wouldn't be here. I don't know, it's just crazy that some people help me out, and I'm really thankful for it.
Okay. Excellent. Well, guys, this is Jacob Hatch. Thank you very much. So that's all we have time for today at Brands Hatch for the British Superbike Round 5. Thank you very much for listening. We've been talking to all the young riders at Affinity Sports Academy, so I hope you've got a real insight into what we're doing as sponsors and what these young individuals are doing as well. So thank you very much. We look forward to seeing you